Hi everyone. In this video I thought we would take a break from new features added to 2012 and try and install and configure Active Directory certificate services. The reason I want to do this is because in the next video I want to show off a new feature of 2012 for which we will need certificate services. First, like always, we need to install the role ADCS Cert Authority. And after installing this role, we will get also two new PowerShell modules. These two modules here, one of them is for deploying and first configuration of ADCS, and the other one is for daily administrative tasks of ADCS. So let's see what commands we have in the deployment module. So you see we have a couple of them. All of them have to do with installing or uninstalling different parts of ADCS. In this video I'm going to focus only on the basics of ADCS, so I will not install any bling bling or other stuff. We will only be installing the basics to have a way to request certificates. So then we get to the next command, in which we will install our certificate authority, and we have a couple of options that we need to give. First is CA type, which for us will be enterprise root CA. You can also have a standalone root CA, and the big difference between them is that the enterprise is linked to your Active Directory. The crypto provider name, you can find a list of them on the internet. I chose the RSA Microsoft Software Key Storage Provider. I gave it a key length of 248, SHA-256 as the algorithm, and I don't want it to ask me if I'm sure, so I will put confirm false. And let's run the command. This should be fairly quick to run. And if you get an error ID of 0, then you are all set. Now the install and let's see, the install and first configuration part is done. Let's get a list of commands for administration. And here you go, there are only a few. And from these commands I want to show you now a command to get the certificate templates. Let's first talk a little what these are. In the certificates world, you can want, for example, to have a couple of certificates for your websites to encrypt your HTTPS traffic. Or maybe you want some certificates for authentication. Or why not, maybe you want some certificates to encrypt different files. While each one of these types of certificates has some particularities only for that type. And this is why we get to templates. When you want a HTTPS certificate, you will use the HTTPS template. You want an encryption certificate for files, you use the file encryption template, and so on. So the templates that we have available to us, we can get them with this command. and there are only a few. Here you go. But the interesting thing is that these are only the templates that we can use at this moment to request new certificates. Actually, on the server we have a lot more templates, but the problem is they are not usable right now. They are only in a special store. We have to take them from that store and import them in the usable list that we have here. And let me show you how you can view all your templates. Open MMC. Now add a new snap-in. And the snap-in that we want is certificate templates. And these are all the templates that we have available. And again, not all of them are usable at this moment. To make them usable, we have to right click and duplicate the template. So this is it with the templates. We will not need to add any new ones from this list because in this video I only want to test the web server template, which is already available as we already saw here. So we are good. Let's remove this snap-in and let's add the certificate authority snap-in, and we can add it for the local computer. Now this is actually the tool from which we manage the CA. You can see, for example, any revoked certificates, any issued certificates, if you have pending requests to allow certificates, failed requests, it can happen. And these are the certificate templates that we saw also in the PowerShell command. So these are the actual usable templates. And we have the web server template, which has some default settings, but in this video I want actually to create our own template for HTTPS sites. And to do this, we have again, unfortunately, to load the certificate template snap-in. I don't know why I removed it. We have to find the web server certificate template and we have to duplicate it. And now we have a couple of settings that we need to set. First, since we will be using 2012, we can set the compatibility settings to Windows Server 2012 and Windows 8 minimum. In the display name, instead of copy of web server, let's call it web intranet. Okay, looks good. You can set also a validity period, which by default is 2 years. So after 2 years you have to renew the certificate. In request handling, I want to make one setting, which is allow private key to be exported. This means that when we generate a certificate on this server, we will get the public key and the private key, and we can also extract both of these keys in one file to import on another server. Now we have to go to security, and here it's very important that we allow domain computers to enroll. So let's find the domain computers group and let's give it the right to enroll. Read is not needed. and click OK. So we have our template done. Now we go back to certificate authority in certificate templates. Let's make a new certificate from one of our templates. And of course we will use web intranet for this. And now we can request certificates from this template from now on. And let's test it also to make sure that it works. To test, just import another snap-in. This time we will import the certificates snap-in, imported as the computer account, local computer, and check it out. In personal, in certificates, just right click, all tasks, request new certificate. Let's begin. Next, we choose the Active Directory enrollment policy, the default, and now it will find the suitable certificates that we can request using this computer account. And as you can see, we found the web intranet certificate type. Let's select it, and we are informed that we have to give it some more details before we can continue. So let's give it some more details. So what it's searching for is that since we are requesting it, for example, for a website, let's say that your site is called testsite.testcorp.com, we have to give it, for example, a DNS name of testsite.testcorp.com. So this will be the site. We gave it what it wants. Let's enroll. And it succeeded. Now we have our certificate installed on the server. It was pretty easy. And since we allowed to export the private key, we could do the following. Export. And it will let us export the private key along with the public key. So this was a very quick look at how to install and configure certificate services at a basic level. We can now create certificates with this server, and especially certificates for websites. And in the next video I want to go through a cool feature new in 2012 called Centralized Certificate Store for SSL certificates, and another feature tied to this, which is server name indication. So these two features are for the web server role. I will be creating a web server, and if you want to follow along, I suggest you do the same. And I'll see you in the next video.